Hello everyone. For this video, what we're going to talk about is how to take good Cornell notes. Now, Cornell notes are the official ones that have Roman numerals and the letter A and B and then the numbers 1 and 2. So these are the official ones. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to use your reading as an example, pages 134 and 135. Now, if you look on 134, you can see the title of this section. Actually, we can have them, I can lay them out next to each other. I took pictures of them because I can't really get them on the screen otherwise. So you can see here that the title of this clearly is Trouble in the Colonies. That's the title. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to write in the outline notes title as Trouble in the Colonies. So that is the title. Notice when we have titles, we don't capitalize prepositions or articles. That's why in and the are not capitalized. So we have our first thing completed with our outline. And actually with this, now that we've gotten our title done, we can go ahead and close that. Going over here, we can see our first section. What we want to do is look at our writing and which writings stand out. We have our main title, of course. Here you can see our main title in red. And when I say stand out, I mean the big bold writing. And the big red writing is New British Policy. So over here, I'm going to write as our first main category, and I'm going to use capital I. And what did we say over there? New British Policies. So we look at that. And so we've gotten our first point. And we start with the Roman numerals. That's the one overarching idea. We can see that these are subtopics of this main idea. Good. So I'll give you, you can see this in your textbook or on this. I'll give you a moment to pause it. And what we can look at, now that you've paused it, and had a chance to read it, we can see right here there's this paragraph about Britain and France struggled for control of eastern North America. And so there's, of course, also the section here about the struggle for land in the Appalachian Mountains, the vast territory of the Appalachian Mountains. Now with this, of course, now, what you want to be careful of is that it's tempting to say, oh, this is A, but it's not. We are not going to go on to capital letters at this point. What we're going to do is move over, and I'm going to actually make this number 1 here. So we'll say Britain and France struggled for Appalachia, or I should say, inland, vast territory. We're going to say vast territory. Maybe we'll do inland territory. Vast inland territory. And you can see that there's a quote. The quoted section, we can say is that it is called Garden of the World by or from in, and I'll italicize it, can I italicize it, so I have to do it this way. I can't italicize it. In Astronomical Diary and Almanac. Good. Now when you do these notes, however, you don't want lines to go all the way up to the front there, so you want to make sure that they go for here. I'm actually going to change the spacing on this. The spacing to make it just single spaced. And then I also don't want that. Okay, there we go. Hopefully that'll do the trick. Now we can see in this writing, because now that we did this section, and then we put a point for this section, Now we're going to be going into the French and Indian War. So over here, this is where I'm going to do A, the French and Indian War. And I'm going in here, and now we're going to make our points. So what I'm going to do is now is a good chance for you to pause the video to read that to yourself. Okay, so one point that I'm going to put in here is we can say that there was, first of all, that British and French rivalry led to French-Indian War. Because it's important, that's an important piece of information because we're discussing the actual war. Then the next thing that we really want to put out there is that leaders met in Albany in 1754 to unite. And then, in fact, I'm putting in parentheses here, Albany Plan of Union. And that goes on to the next line there because we don't want to have that over there. And I'm going to make one note here, and I will say it failed because they did not unite. And then number 3 here, you could say after 1763, colonies began to work together against, and I'll put GB for Great Britain, because those are the main ideas in that paragraph. And then that's it. We're done there. We're going to go on to B, which, as you can see, is the Proclamation of 1763. And I'll put that there. You can read that to yourself, and I will pause the video. You can pause. Okay, so right there we can say British victory, and we'll also say won, and I'll actually put Great Britain won all the French territory. And then number 2, there was a proclamation, and I'll put proclamation said no colonists allowed west of Appalachian Mountains. And if you notice, some of these I abbreviate some words like GB for Great Britain. You can see that there. I put MTNS for mountains. These are notes, so you're not expected to write out every single word. Okay, and then we're going to go on because I think there are still other important ideas in this paragraph. And if you notice in the paragraph, they talk about why Great Britain did this. So we can say there that it would control colonial settlement, and I'm just going to put "and" right here to make it easy. Keep colonists close to British investments along the coast. And so those are the 2 main reasons why the British did this. Now, if you notice, I still think there's one more important thing here. That's not showing up here. And that 4th important thing is that the British planned to keep 10,000 troops in the U.S. Just to keep this in order to enforce this. So now if you notice the part A over here, there were only 3, but here in part B there are 4. And that's, you have to use your judgment. One of the things that we're talking a lot about in this class is a lot of times you have to use your judgment. You have to think which one has more important information, which one has less important information. And I think that the important information in the French and Indian War can be broken into 3 parts. I think the next one can be broken into 4. And ultimately, some of you might do this a little bit differently. If you put 1 point for each of these, I would probably say, I don't know about that. But if maybe this one you only had 2, that might work. Maybe for part A, you might break it into 4. Maybe for part B, you'd break it into 4 or 5. Maybe only 3, maybe up to 5. But really, you're going to have to use your judgment with this. And with that, this is a general overview of how you do Cornell notes.